Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder why it is so hard to learn new things or unlearn old habits, especially when it comes to fear or anxiety? Well, this new initiative in psychology has built something amazing to help us understand just that. Imagine if we could gather all the wisdom learned from experiments about fear and anxieties, put it all together in one superpowered place. That is exactly what a group of researchers has done with something called the Fearbase. They've created a huge, shared collection of data from countless experiments on how humans learn to fear things and how we can unlearn that fear. It is like building a giant brain trust for fear research. And it's aiming to speed up how we understand and help people deal with anxiety and stress-related problems. You know how in movies or even real life a certain sound or smell can instantly bring back a memory, sometimes a scary one? That's fear conditioning at work. Researchers have studied this for ages by pairing something neutral, like a light, with something scary, like a mild electric shock. Pretty soon, that neutral light by itself can make people feel anxious. While this has taught us a lot, understanding fear has been tough because studies often have small groups of people use slightly different methods and report their results in so many different ways. This makes it hard to get a clear, big picture. Think of it like trying to solve a puzzle where each person has only a few pieces and they all describe their pieces differently. It's hard to see the whole image. That's where the Fearbase comes in. It's not just a collection of studies, it's a collaborative effort. Researchers from all over the world can contribute their data, and in turn, they get to use the massive combined data to ask even bigger questions. So, how did they build this giant resource? Well, it started with the challenging task of taking all sorts of existing research data, which often had missing information or used different names for the same thing, and making it all fit together. They basically had to create a common language and structure for all this diverse information. They even held special events, like hackathons, to figure out the best ways to get researchers to share their data, and then build a special online tool, a submission portal where people could easily upload their study results. This tool guides researchers step by step, helping them map their original study terms, making sure everything is consistent. It is pretty smart. When someone wants to share their data, they upload it, fill in details about their experiment, like what kind of stimuli they used, what they measured, and who participated. Then they map their own variable names to the Fearbase's standardized names. Finally, they sign an agreement. This whole process is designed to be as smooth as possible, even if a study doesn't have every single piece of information perfectly documented. They want to encourage sharing even partial data to build the biggest resource possible. Now, getting access to all this combined data isn't just a free-for-all. To make sure everyone is working together and not duplicating efforts, researchers who want to use the full dataset have to propose a research project. They have to explain what they want to study, what analysis they plan to do, and then sign a data use agreement. This keeps things organized and ensures that the data is used for important. Well, planned research. It's all about collaboration and making sure the data contributes to solid science. So, what have they found so far with this incredible resource? As of now, the Fearbase has data from 1,741 individuals across 25 different studies. These studies were published between 2014 and 2024, and they come from researchers in 9 different countries. The participants are mostly young adults, averaging around 23.5 years old. This is actually an important point we'll come back to later. The database includes a lot of detailed information about the exact experimental designs used. For example, it can tell you about the different ways researchers measured skin conductance, which is a biological sign of emotional arousal, or the specific instructions participants receive. This level of detail is super useful. It means researchers can pick and choose exactly which datasets they need for their specific questions. Maybe they need data only from studies that used a certain type of fear stimulus, or studies that collected not just biological responses, but also people's self-reported feelings of fear. We're talking about all sorts of measurements here. They've got physiological stuff like skin conductance responses, fear-potentiated startle, and even pupil dilation. They also have people's ratings on how intense their fear or arousal was and their beliefs about whether a stimulus was dangerous or safe. Plus, they've included data from common questionnaires that measure things like anxiety sensitivity, which is how worried someone is about their anxiety symptoms, or intolerance of uncertainty, which is how uncomfortable people are with not knowing what's going to happen. Skin conductance response is the most common physiological measure, with data from over 1,500 participants. For self-reported feelings, measuring how likely a person thought an unpleasant event would occur, which is called as expectancy, is also very common. And when it comes to questionnaires, people's general tendency to be anxious. measured by the trait version of the state trait anxiety inventory, often called STI-T, is included in a lot of studies. These studies involve different phases. First, the acquisition phase where the fear is learned, then extinction training where participants learn that the stimulus is no longer dangerous, and sometimes even phases that test if the fear comes back. The database captures data from these different phases, giving researchers a comprehensive view of fear learning and unlearning. Developing something like the Fearbase isn't without its hurdles. One big challenge is balancing what it takes for a researcher to share their data with what is needed for someone else to easily use it. For the person sharing, they want it to be quick and easy. For the person using it, they need super detailed, well-organized information. The Fearbase tries to solve this with their smart submission portal that adapts based on the information provided. It's like a helpful assistant that makes sure you don't miss anything important without making the process overwhelming. Another challenge is dealing with all the different ways experiments are run and data are collected. Plus, there are legal and ethical considerations, making sure all data is properly anonymized and that everyone involved understands the rules for sharing and using the data is crucial. They had to set up formal agreements and ensure compliance with rules across different institutions and countries. Now, let's talk about some of the limitations or specific choices they've made. First, the Fearbase currently focuses on specific types of data, like skin conductance and self-report ratings. It doesn't yet fully include things like EG or reaction time data in its core structure, although it is possible to upload them. This means you can't just download all the data without being part of the consortium. This might seem restrictive, but it is a deliberate choice. It helps prevent duplicated research efforts and protects the data from misuse, which has happened with other large data sets. It also encourages collaboration within the research community, ensuring that those who contribute data get proper recognition. Also, while some data sharing guidelines suggest sharing raw data, the Fearbase mainly accepts processed or aggregated data, like trial-level physiological responses. This is for practical reasons related to the massive storage and processing power needed for raw time series data. It is a trade-off between ideal raw data sharing and what is feasible and sustainable for such a large dynamic project. So, what is the big picture here? The Fearbase aims to totally change how we study fear and anxiety. By pooling all this data, they can run super powerful studies that can find effects too small to see in individual experiments. This means we can better understand individual differences in how people experience fear and anxiety and how those fears might be treated. It's not just a static collection either. The Fearbase website is designed to be dynamic. It will continuously update with information about the data, like new statistics and summaries. As more data comes in, imagine constantly updated meta-analyses and ongoing research right there on the website. It's a living, breathing research resource. This initiative is a fantastic example of how collaboration can push science forward. It makes complex research more accessible, helps consolidate knowledge, and ultimately has the potential to significantly improve our understanding and treatment of anxiety and related disorders. It is a blueprint for how other fields could also build similar collaborative data initiatives. From my perspective, the Fearbase is a monumental achievement. The biggest strength is undeniably its collaborative nature and the ambition to create a unified, harmonized dataset. By bringing together diverse studies, they've created a powerful tool that can tackle questions previously out of reach for individual labs. The focus on community and giving credit to data contributors is also a brilliant move to overcome the common barriers to data sharing. One area to consider for future growth, and they've touched on this, is broadening the types of data included. While physiological and self-report measures are foundational, incorporating things like EEG, fMRI, or even qualitative data could offer even richer insights. Also, as the participants in the combined dataset are predominantly young adults, future efforts to include data from a wider age range would greatly enhance the generalizability of findings. It is a challenge, but crucial for understanding fear across the lifespan. Ultimately, the Fearbase is more than just a database. It is a movement towards more transparent, collaborative, and powerful science. It's a testament to what can be achieved when researchers work together towards a common goal. By unlocking the potential of existing data, they are not only accelerating discovery, but also maximizing the return on public investment in research. What do you think about this massive fear database? Let me know in the comments below, and if you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more science explained simply, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the fascinating world of psychology. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.